My scent is wine, or grape wine, really grapey wine. When I was a little girl, my grandma had a grape trellis, and it was basically just this big trellis full of grapes. And my sister and I would go sit in there on a really hot summer day, and we would get in trouble because we would sit in there and we would just eat all these grapes, and we'd basically be full and we couldn't have dinner. But it was just so much fun, and it was a warm day, and I just remember feeling a lot of sun, and when I was with my sister, we'd be like putting all the grapes in our mouth and laughing at each other, and then my grandma would always find us and be like, "What are you kids doing?" And yeah. Something like of the sun coming in, because we could, as we were sitting on the ground, I remember there was the sun always like kind of peering through the grapevines.
Raspberry. I think of my actually my old house where I was first born, and I lived in for the first couple of years of my life because my nana, who's like very special to me, she would always have big raspberry trees in the backyard. So every time I smell a raspberry, I just think of that old time, you know, the time of the raspberry tree, the good times when I'd run around with my like Superman, you know, little dish towel with the safety pin. I'd run around like Superman. But what's funny about that memory was I forgot I even had it, and then, you know, I haven't had raspberries in a long time, and then I started working at a job at catering hall which had raspberries in their fridge, and I opened it up and I actually like smelt this, and out of nowhere, as I smelt into the bucket of raspberries, this like vision or this old memory came back to me, and I remembered it almost crystal clear about my old house and something I completely forgot. But I found these raspberries again, and then after a long time of being without, it brought me back something that I didn't even know I still had in my memory, so.
My scent is fresh cut grass. My memory associated with fresh cut grass is being upstate at my godmother's house. She lives in a suburban area named Horseheads, and every summer I go there, we jump on the trampoline, run through the grass with her dog, Nala, shoot bow and arrows. I know, random, but bow and arrows. Just being in nature, because in the city you don't really have that, so every time I smell fresh cut grass, it's just being with nature, just having fun, running around, enjoying the land. I can picture being upstate again, laying in the grass, feeling the wind, feeling the sun on my face. Just that smell of grass, I feel all of that. And I just feel young again and energetic and free, and like I want to go back.
The scent of a Tiparillo. When I was about 13 years old, a bunch of the guys got together, and one of the guys had 2 boxes of Tiparillos. They come about 4 in a pack, and we were gonna, it was our first time smoking, so we were gonna smoke some cigars. So we ended up buying some pizzas and big bottles of Coke, and we partied with the pizza and Coke first, and when we were all done, we sat back and lit up these cigars and finished all of them. There were 8 of them and like 4 of us guys, so we ended up having a couple of cigars each. The only thing we didn't know at that point was to not inhale them. So we were inhaling each and every drag and puff on the cigar, and soon we were all really sick and nauseous, and it was a mess.
Alcohol. As a young kid, my father was a raging alcoholic. One day I walked in from school and my father was there, and he was holding his razor blade in his hand, and he was drunk and he had that red face with his eyes popping out and he was screaming and yelling. And when I walked in, he was like, "What the fuck are you using my razor blade?" And I was like 8 years old. I was like, "Really? Razor blade? I'm 8, you know?" So I knew right there it was on. So he threw me a bad beating, like bad. And all of a sudden my oldest brother, who's a lot older than me, walked in and he said, "Did you use this razor blade?" to my oldest brother, because we both had the same color hair. And he said, "Yeah, why?" And he's like, "Look what you did to him." Saying that it was his fault that I got beat up because he used his razor blade.
Bleach. I was a young girl, about 12 years old. My parents were going out to a wedding. My mother had a brood of children, and she ran a quick laundry as she was getting dressed and running out to her affair. My dad came down the stairs, and he took that opportunity at a side counter in the kitchen to fix himself a whiskey with soda on it. And at the same time, my mother ran in quickly and took some bleach from underneath the counter and poured it in a highball glass and placed it inadvertently right next to his drink. My dad came in, and as they were leaving, he grabbed the bleach and drank it straight down. I had never seen a man wail in such pain. I watched the whole thing from a little distance in the kitchen and watched him suffer with agony as he was terribly sick and screaming in pain. I looked to my mother, and her pain in her face was almost as bad as his pain physically. To watch them both suffer that way was so traumatic. He recovered. They went to the wedding, how I don't know, and we talked about it for years.